Welcome to Philly Fortune Talks with your host, Jake Penny, where the city's brightest minds share the secrets behind their success. Are you ready to be inspired?
In this episode, we welcome Natasha Bryant, LCSW, a licensed mental health expert, transformational speaker, and founder of Speak Life Transformation. With over 14 years of experience as a psychotherapist, Natasha has dedicated her career to guiding individuals through healing, growth, and authentic living. Now, through her company and Unapologetic Living University, she is expanding mental health and wellness education beyond the traditional therapy office. Natasha's mission is to empower professional women and thought leaders to move from hesitation to confidence in pursuing their passions and goals. Join us as we explore Natasha's insights on mental health, her journey in entrepreneurship, and her passion for helping others live unapologetically. Natasha, it's a pleasure to have you on Philly Fortune Talks today.
Thank you so much for having me on here as a guest. I'm super excited for our conversation today.
So for the listeners, how did you get started? What was like the aha or the epiphany that was like, hey, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, so I was going to be a cosmetologist, believe it or not. My family owns a barbershop. So I grew up in the barbershop. And so that's what I was going to do. I was going to be a cosmetologist. And then I worked in a salon for over the summer going into my senior year. And I realized that was not my ministry. And so I even went to cosmetology school. So I'm a beauty school dropout. I dropped out of beauty school and was like, I need a whole nother plan. And I was introduced to social work by my friend's mom. She was a social worker, and I was just so intrigued by the work that she was doing. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to do social work. So I started off in the field of social work with my vision and my purpose at that time. I felt was really led to working with youth, inner city youth, Black and brown youth specifically. In the school setting, I felt like that was going to be the best place for me to make the change and make the impact that I was seeking, which was to really help people from my community that look like me to go above and beyond what society says they are capable of doing based on their environments they live in. And so that's where I started off. I started off in schools, and then I did private practice or group practice, outpatient therapy. And my whole plan was to be in schools, do outpatient therapy part-time, eventually leave the schools, go into group private practice full-time. And then God put a whole nother desire on my heart and said, you know what? You need to start a business. And so that happened in October of 2021. And literally, that was not a vision of mine. That wasn't on my vision board. That wasn't on my bucket list. God just put that on me and I just ran with it. And so in 2021, I did all the trainings on how to start a business, and I started seeing my first client. So actually, I was in 2020, October 2020. I started seeing my first client in March of 2021. Speak Life was born. And that's through that. For me, that was really about making it accessible to have a Black therapist accessible, because it's not a lot of us or a lot that
Mhm.
are found or seen. But also to make it, because I did this during a pandemic. And so I was really intentional about it. I didn't want to have an office because I wanted to bring therapy to the comforts of people's homes, wherever that is, or their businesses, for workplace wellness, also through coaching. So if you may not need therapy, but you might still need some help really working through the doubts and the imposter syndrome, or learning how to develop goals that are intentional so you can really live the life that you want to live. And so that's what Speak Life is all about, really helping people live their best life as their best selves unapologetically, and bring a brown face to mental health and to talk about it and expand it beyond the walls of therapy.
Yeah, that's really awesome. It's funny how God or our creator, who whatever it may be for our
Mhm.
listeners, works in mysterious ways to channel us to put us in the kingdom work that we should be doing, that we
Hmm.
don't necessarily know that we should be doing.
Yeah.
That's awesome that, that happened. You focused on like expanding mental health and education beyond the therapy office, which I think is really
Mhm.
awesome. It's more efficient, it's easier accessible for a lot of people. Can you share what like motivated that shift and how it was, how it has impacted your practice and your clients?
Yeah, what motivated me was the stigma. or is a stigma, it still
Right.
exists, the stigma of mental health. And so a lot of times the conversation about our mental health only happens in the therapy office.
Mm.
The conversation about it, when you really start digging deep about what does it mean to be anxious? What does it mean to be depressed, right? That conversation a lot of times only happens to those who choose to seek that type of support, and then you learn more about it in the office. But COVID happened, and a lot of businesses and people just in general realize, okay, no, mental health is a thing, right? And especially in the corporate world, they realize, okay, we cannot just say, well, what happens at home stays at home. Don't bring your problems at home. They realize, like, oh, the issues at home, mental health, etc., really does impact how employees show up at work, right? And so I really wanted to start the conversation, open the doors, really pushing businesses and those who are really interested and making that initiative to promote mental wellness in the workplace, to be a figure that can help and support and guide that. Also, what really drove that is working in schools. So again, I've worked in only inner city communities, and so there's a lot of trauma, vicarious trauma, generational trauma. There's a lot of trauma, and so I've done a lot of work educating educators on how to best support students who are living through or going through trauma, and also how to care for themselves in the midst of caring for others who have traumatic backgrounds. And so I learned a lot through that about how important it is to create a positive workplace culture, but also to have the conversation about trauma and being trauma informed and culturally responsive in so many ways. And so that's what really drove me in that direction.
What inspired, what was the inspiration or the driving force vision behind founding Unapologetic Living University, and how has that integrated and complemented the work you do both at Unapologetic Living University and then also through Speak Life Transformation?
Yeah, so Unapologetic Living University is the education piece of it all, like through the coaching aspect. I came up with that because everything I've talked about or done was once I, especially within the coaching aspect, has been always about living unapologetically. I actually have a TV show with Mogul TV Global Network called Living Unapologetically with Natasha. And so I am very big on helping people not apologize for being themselves, not
Mm.
apologizing for wanting the dreams that they have, not apologizing for making the moves that they want to make, because they have decided and recognized that living for them and living life on their terms is so important. And so Unapologetic University is where it's what's under that is when I do events, whether it's online masterclass events or in person. I just recently did an event with via MedWeek. I partnered with MedWeek. My friend and I, we did an empowering workshop for women entrepreneurs and professionals on, going after their goals professionally and how to really overcome things like imposter syndrome, how to make sure their goals align. And so with Unapologetic Living, it's all about the coaching program I have, Legacy Launch as well. It's all about helping women really not apologize, because as women, often we feel the guilt or the shame about putting ourselves first, because we're all the time the nurturers and the caregivers, that when we decide to put ourselves first, there's this feeling of I shouldn't be doing that, right? Or I should be doing this, or I should be living a certain way. And I'm not saying men don't have that struggle too, because I have men clients too, male clients too, that often still have the imposter syndrome. But I know with women specifically, there is this like struggle of how to separate, or feeling guilty about separating or putting themselves first. So that's really what Unapologetic University is all about.
I love that because, and it's so important because I feel like from society, from family, whatever you dynamics,
Mhm.
the vision of society or your family gets impressed upon you, never thinking, oh, what do I want? What do I want out of life? What do I want to be career-wise? Things of that nature. And it's like
Mhm.
you've always been told like what to do or what you should go for. Um, and it's like you never thought you ever
Mhm. Mhm.
thought of looking in internally, what do I want? What do I want to do? Things of that nature. And not being sorry about it either, approaching it to where it's like, hey, no, this is what I want to do. That's what you want to do. That's your life. And I think, that happens all the time
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
families all over the world. They're like, hey, you need to go to school to do this and only
Yeah.
Or not even just that, but that's like the most prominent thing. So I think that's really freaking cool.
Yeah, one of the things I often challenge my clients to do is to pause and think about the belief system that you have, the values that you have. Are they really truly your values and your belief systems? Do they really match and align with who you presently are? Or are they from beliefs and values that were created or passed down to you from childhood, from your parents? Because when you're younger, you don't have the autonomy to say, I'm not doing that, right? Like you do what you're told, like you said, right? These people you depend on, right? So you're just picking up and just how our brain works and how our habits work. We learn, our behaviors learn, right? And so we just pick up things that we've learned. And before we know, we're just like, oh, I just do it because that's what I've always done. Or I just do it, that's because everybody in my family does it. But really thinking, well, does that align with who you are now? But also, it might, what you have now or what you believed in 10 years ago, 5 years ago, may not align with who you are now, right? And so really always reassessing and to see the way I'm thinking, the habits I'm engaging in, are they really going to help me live the life that I want to live now and how I see myself in the future? Or are these past behaviors that may have worked in the past or may have never been mine that I need to let go of?
Yeah, absolutely. Does your identity match with your paradigm and, who you are as a person?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
you were talking about how your services target like professional women and thought leaders. What are like the most common challenges women face, and how do you approach and address them?
Yeah, I would say the most common is definitely that self-doubt and the fear. The doubt in the abilities, the doubt in the capabilities, the doubt in um, the abilities to be able to move forward. There is also the guilt of moving forward, feeling this sense of overthinking about how to do things and the perfectionism and I call them the three P's. I guess the best way to really sum it up, I call it the three P's: the pleasing, the proving, and the perfecting. If I could just sum it up in three words, that's what it would be, really.
Like it.
The perfection, always feeling like I need to have it all together all the time, feeling I need to be that superwoman. Like I can never show that I'm really struggling or that I need help because I have to be the one to hold it all together because I'm the one who's carrying everybody's problems or taking care of everything. Or it might be the pleasing. I don't want people to be upset with me. I'm worried about not being liked or accepted or
Mhm.
disapproving others, right? Or it's the proving that I actually belong here, proving that I belong in this table, especially if it's a male dominated industry or field that you're in, or if you're a minority and you're the only person that looks or sounds like you, right? Proving that I belong in these spaces, proving that I do know what I'm talking about, right? Those three P's are the areas that I'm often helping women navigate, overcome, and replace with thinking and habits that really help them move forward.
Yeah, and that's super important. And you also see like a lot of like at networking events or business events type thing, a lot more women are coming around, and I think that's awesome
Mhm.
too. And usually when they do come around, they stick out because it's like men aren't used to that, and it's like,
Mhm.
it attracts more of an audience. And they also at the end of the day have like I don't know way to put it, but when they put their mind to something and understand the craft and they grind they have the skills and everything like that, they usually propel a lot faster
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like power to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but you've been featured multiple times as a speaker at conferences and wellness events. What is like your core message and you aim to like convey to the audience?
Yeah, the message actually kind of aligns with one of my books. So my healing journal is called Hello Me, It's Nice to Meet You. And I would say that would be the core message, right? It's where you allow yourself to um, finally meet your true authentic self. Because it's going to be hard to really go through, get past the doubt, the fear, the guilt, the pleasing, the proving, and the perfecting, right? If you don't really allow yourself to know who you really are,
Mm.
right? If you don't really start walking in, I call it your who, if you don't really allow yourself to define your who or accept your who, then all these other things are going to get in the way, like the imposter syndrome, the anxiety, like all those things are going to get in the way. And so my core message at the end of the day, no matter if I'm talking about mental self-care, if I'm talking about authentic living, purpose-driven living, if I'm talking about overcoming fear and doubt, it always comes down to the only way you can live your best life as your best self or show up at your best as your best self is being able to know who that person is. Who is she, right? Who is he? And being able to say, hello, hey, it's nice to meet you. It's finally nice to embrace and love and honor you just as you, because then there's a level of freedom that comes with it. So when you're walking in spaces, there's none of that overthinking because you feel confident and you know that you belong in those spaces, right? You're not worried about
Yeah.
what other people think. And you're not second guessing yourself or trying to plan for the future or assume the worst so that you can feel comfortable. Like you're there and you know you're supposed to be there and you start executing things with excellence.
Yeah, it's like, looking in a mirror and knowing the person that's looking back to you and what their mission, their purpose, and
Hmm.
everything is. Uh, yeah, a lot of people have trouble with that. So when you said,
Hmm.
"Hello, me, how are you?" I was like, "Damn!" Like a lot of people wouldn't even know what to even, say to
Hmm.
themselves.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
super powerful.
Yeah.
How do you integrate like mindset work into mental health practices, and why do you believe, confidence is key to living authentically?
Yeah, I think it would be the opposite. Is how do I incorporate the mental health into the mindset or the mental health mindset into like the coaching piece? Because
Hmm.
that's really honestly where why I even created the mindset coaching. Because as I was doing therapy, I noticed a common theme, whether it was a male or a female, like whoever I was supporting or helping in therapy, we always had to go back to that self-esteem building. We always had to go back to like building that confidence before we could even start healing in the areas they were trying to heal in or reach the goals they were trying to reach the goals in. We had to always go back to really figuring out who they are and how to really build that confidence. And so I was thinking, well, if I'm noticing this and majority of my therapy clients, then, and I only can see my clients in therapy in PA in New Jersey, that's where I'm licensed in, then this is definitely a worldwide issue. Like I got to be able to reach
Right.
the masses here. And so that's why I developed the mindset coaching. And so within the mindset coaching, I incorporate helping individuals understand how your mind works, right? Like how your thoughts impact how you feel and how you think and or excuse me, how you feel and how you show up or your actions,
Mhm.
and really understanding ways to develop the type of thinking that's going to really help you execute the goals that you want to achieve, ways to develop the thinking that's going to really help you confidently believe in yourself. Like when you look in the mirror and you say, I got this, I'm good, or I belong here, how to start to believe that. Like, how do you get to a place where you can believe it? Because a lot of people, you can say it, but if you don't believe it, it's like, whatever, like, I'm
Right.
supposed to be here, you know? But if you, like, how to start believing it, where it's like you're at a 100% believability instead of being at like a 2 where there's low believability, right? And so that's how I integrate I guess you could say the mental health piece of it, where I'm not doing clinical work, but I'm really helping you understand the mindset and how our mind works and how to develop that strong, confident mindset to really live the life that you want to live.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important to build that muscle for mindset, whether that's through,
Mhm.
meditation, visualization,
Mhm.
affirmations,
Mhm.
even just like self-help. It's being one of my friends said, um, being selfishly selfish,
Mhm.
serving yourself first so that you can serve others better, and doing that
Yes.
first thing in the morning, because as people that live in this crazy world, we wake up and the world's attacking us right out the gate, because whether we
Mhm.
we woke up late or our surroundings, our environment, whatever that may be, and we're constantly on the fight or flight right away, where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
how can we wake up earlier to where we're not behind the eight ball, and then serve ourselves with, like I said, visualization,
Mhm.
affirmations, a little bit
Yeah.
of, breath work or walking
Mhm.
outside, exercise, to build that mindset, to build that feel good feeling, so that way we can, if you feel good, your mental health is most likely, pretty solid for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say that to people all the time, right? When I'm doing my group coaching course or where I'm doing therapy, I often tell individuals like setting boundaries, for example, is selfish. It is selfish because I call them self-love boundaries.
Mhm.
You have to, put yourself first in order to be able to advocate for what you need, right? And it is okay to put yourself first, right? And one thing I often say is like when you're caring for other people, like if you're caring for other people, if you're giving and supporting other people, you're immediately labeled as somebody who is compassionate, right? You're immediately labeled as someone who's caring. But who said, and when did it start to be a thing where you are no longer a compassionate and caring person if you do the same for yourself?
Yeah,
Like, why all of a sudden are we now selfish if I'm being just as caring to myself? I'm being just as giving and supporting to myself as I am to other people. Why does that have to be a negative thing? When did that become a selfish thing, right? Um, and it's like and I mentioned this earlier, in order for you to really show up at your best and really be your best self for the people that you want to support and care for, you have to first pour into yourself so that you can really show up at the capacity and the with at your 100% for other people.
for sure. For sure. And I see that a lot in people that I've noticed is that some people even are overly helping to other people because it's almost like a shield or a cry for help that they need help themselves.
Mm-hmm,
I've seen that a
hmm
lot with some family members, some people I know.
hmm
It's just like, hey, I get what you're trying to do and you're trying to feel good and everything, but you need to feel good yourself first. And
Yeah, yeah.
you need to, I do,
hmm hmm
take I for once in your life.
Yeah,
You're told like,
yeah,
oh, don't be selfish. Don't I this or I that, me. It's
yeah,
like, in times you need to. It's the
yeah.
only way you're going to be able to survive and thrive.
hmm Yeah, what you described is how the pleasing and proving comes up, right? Like if I am feeling a level of angst if someone's upset with me, right? Or someone finds out that I am struggling inside, right? I'm going to go out of my way to prove that, oh, I'm good all the time. There's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
me. Or I'm going to go out of my way to make sure people are happy and pleased with me. Meanwhile, I'm anxious inside. I'm overthinking the whole thing. I'm feeling overwhelmed by this whole situation, right? I am feeling insecure in these moments because I am worried about how people are going to perceive me or respond to me or think about me. And I'm using all this as a way to mask all that, right? So that I don't have that negative outcome.
For sure. As mental health services evolve, and I'm sure you've seen it evolve drastically since 2020, where do you see like the greatest, maybe, I don't know if the word is opportunities for growth in wellness industry, but like, maybe, um, better ways to do things or just, opportunities for growth, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I'm seeing is, and because you know how our society works, when there's a fad, a trend, everybody jumps on it. So after COVID, everybody was jumping on like promoting mental health, right? Especially in organizations, even DEI work, everybody's jumping on it. And now it's starting to go back down. And I feel like this is still an opportunity to provide those type of support. So organizations, big or small, no matter how large or the size of the company, is providing opportunities to really invest in the wellness of your employees because that's really what helps keep your employees. That really helps create job satisfaction. I was reading some statistics about how when someone is feeling psychologically safe at work, they have a higher level of job satisfaction, right? Because
Mm,
they feel safe at work, they feel heard, they feel seen. And so really be able to create those spaces at work where people feel comfortable, they can come and talk about if something's going on at home or at work. If work is stressful, being able to have someone to talk to and creating that psychological safety and comfort. And I'm also seeing one area too, or one group of population I'm seeing an increase, and is with men are doing more. We're talking about mental health, which is great. Because men also, from their own, like the manhood code of like always being strong, right? I'm seeing more men talking about I'm not strong today. Like I'm seeing more like hip hop artists, especially men of color, talking about mental health and how they struggle with depression and suicide and how they have taken medication. And so that's really big too, including and making spaces for men to just check on having it be okay and a norm for men to check on each other, like within your support system, or creating a support group for men to check on each other. So I've been seeing a lot of that too. That has been really empowering and exciting to see.
Yeah, I had a conversation about that on a previous podcast, where they were building like a almost like like you said, a support group for men, because we're
Hmm.
always brought up to be, strong like bull, and
Hmm. Hmm.
no emotions, no feelings, just bundle it up, keep it inside, and eventually, that shit bust open and it's
Yeah.
reckless.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and it's like it's okay for men to, if you're a manly man or whatever you are, it's okay to be open about your feelings and okay, yeah, I'm struggling today. I'm not 100% today. I'm 20%.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like meditation and all that stuff. I'm in a group of like 48, men, that's really geared around, yeah, business life, but also like meditation and how to deal with
Hmm.
feelings and whatnot. And it's super important. It's not talked about enough. And
Hmm.
it's definitely a space that's needed for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as time flies, when we're having fun, many
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, like yourself, like myself, we're really good at our like day-to-day task, our careers, our profession, whatever that may be. But we're also thinking about like long-term financial security. Uh,
Hmm.
do you have any vision or thought for the future on what you're going to do after, you retire, or maybe down the road, like you said, we're always evolving. Maybe this isn't something that you want to do, or you want to take a higher stand in this industry. Do you have any thoughts about, creating passive income, or planning for your future beyond your current practice?
Yeah, that's something that's quite often on my mind. I started really expanding that passive income presently through like my coaching programs. Like I'm gonna be launching I've launched it already, but launching another round of the my coaching program called Legacy Launch, is a group coaching program. And I also have several books that I have as another form of income as well. I have an affirmation coloring book called My Self-Talk Speaks Life, and I also have a healing journal that I mentioned earlier. Hello, me. It's nice to meet you. And I have other digital products on my online store. And so those are ways that I'm trying to evolve and scale that to really pick up traction to bring in more passive income in that way. So that's something I'm always thinking about, is how to get that out more, how to really bring in more income through those passive streams of income. And then speaking, I just last year, I decided that speaking was like a area that I really wanted to hone in on. And so over this past year, I've been increasing speaking engagements. And one of my goals is just be an international speaker, like just be all, I love to travel. So when you think about after like retiring, no longer doing therapy, for example, I see myself like traveling, like being able to incorporate travel with the work in the sense of speaking more and just being on stages and really helping individuals, businesses really start taking care of their mental health, really starting to really make it a priority, really opening the doors for people to invest in their mental well-being, invest in their goals and their lives, and be able to make time for themselves to really to create the life that they want to be and care for their mental health. So that is definitely something that I want to long term be doing. So I'm gonna be that 80-year-old on the stage talking to people.
There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I mean, we have a commonality right there. I've always wanted to eventually become a motivational or inspirational speaker, because there's nothing
Hmm.
better than going out there and helping people and seeing the fire just lit up in them and say, hey,
Hmm.
this is possible for me too. If
Yeah.
that person can do it, I can do it.
Hmm.
And I always say like, hey, we're God's highest form of creation, or whatever that may be. We can do
Mhm.
anything we put our mind to. We can experience anything that we want to. This world, these beautiful places, we're all put on this earth for us to experience and have access to. So it's like, hey, if you can inspire people to attain those things, like what other greater feeling is out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for the coloring book, though.
Yes.
Tell me more about that because I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, so as a therapist, one of the tools that we're often recommending is things like coloring. It does a lot of different things. It helps with stress management, helps with mindfulness, helps you tap into your inner child. So who doesn't like coloring? Like most people love to color. But I didn't want it to be just like a regular coloring book with the flowers and the paisley type of designs. I wanted it to be one that was also that had some affirmation poetry in it to start to encourage and help people practice speaking life. So not just only having a a sentence stem or a quote, but actual poetry because a lot of people like poetry. So
Mhm.
and that's also a form of like a strategy for coping with different levels of stress. So I combine the two. So it's affirmation poetry inside that I've written myself that's all been inspired by the stories of clients of their lives and just being inspired by them in my own life as well. And so it's dedicated to my previous just to clients in general for just giving me the inspiration. And then there's coloring designs, and the coloring designs has designs that I wanted to be more like Art Deco because I wanted to be something where if you wanted to take that coloring page out of your book and frame it, you literally could, and it would look like a work of art that you're now adding to your space. And so, very intentional. It was a very intentional type of coloring book for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really unique, and I've never personally heard anything like that. So that's really, really awesome and innovative
Mhm.
for sure.
Thank you.
How can listeners connect with you, and learn more about your services, your products, and then for those, looking to enhance their mental health and confidence?
Yeah, so I am on, you can learn more about my counseling services and my coaching services on speaklifetransformation.com. You can also, if you wanted to work with me, if you live in the states of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, you can book a consultation, a free consultation to learn more about what therapy looks like with me. If you are interested in coaching, you can also book a discovery call via that website to learn more about what coaching looks like as well. And then natashabspeaks.com is our speaking website. So if you would like to book me for any type of workshops, any type of presentations, that's the location you would go to learn more about my speaking services. And I am located on most social platforms. So I'm on Instagram at Speak Like Transformation. TikTok is also Speak Like Transformation. I'm located on Facebook at Speak Life Transformation SLT. And LinkedIn is Natasha B123. I think that's all the platform. Oh, and YouTube. Check out YouTube for my YouTube channel for all types of videos on just wellness tips and strategies. That is Speak Like Transformation TV.
Awesome, Tasha. It was a pleasure having you on Philly Fortune Talks today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to Philly Fortune Talks with Jake Penny. Inspired to share your success story? Visit phillyfortunetalks.com/guest and let's inspire together.